Hello, welcome back to Skyrocket Automotive. How's it going? We're out on the road, we're picking up tools. We've picked up torque wrenches, we've picked up jacks, we picked up my tripod, my mics, because we're filming at home today. Why are we filming at home today? Well, you'll notice the title hopefully has some reference to my Scirocco. Where's the Scirocco, Kyle? Oh, right, life got in the way, as it has a tendency to do with me. A couple of months went by. Don't panic, all was well. The car fired up, first flick of the key, and I booked her in for an MOT a few weeks ago. I was amazed at the fail sheet on the MOT because it was tiny, believe it or not. The fail sheet was a tail light bulb out. Turns out it was missing. In the intervening months I'd pinched that for something. Anyway, tail light bulb was missing, rear brake's not working at all. So I went through and fixed the rear brakes. Well, no, I didn't. I went through and fixed the service brake, and then the handbrake still wasn't working. So then I had to get a handbrake cable. Then I had to fit a handbrake cable. That was fun footage here, hopefully. Yep, that's probably fair enough. Can't really argue with that, can I? Once I'd done all of that, back off for MOT. Went straight through. Happy days. We're back on the road. My baby's back on the road. We're a team again. Not much to report, actually. For the first 10 days, it was bliss. Car was driving like brand new. I wasn't babying it. I was driving it long distances on the motorway, round town, stuck in traffic. Absolutely lovely. Went down and did some stuff for Auto Alex. Obviously can't mention what, but it was brilliant. Drove all the way down there. Went for a curry with the guys that night. It was lovely to catch up with them all. Drove back up the M40 at like 10 o'clock at night. Early summer, clear sky, stars, moon. Just me and the car. Some decent tunes. Bliss. The next morning, I'm going down the A34 at 50 miles an hour. Come to a slight incline, not howling along, sat at 50 in fifth, and it goes free revved. What is happening? Thought I'd popped it out of fifth or something. No, we're still in fifth. We're still in fifth. Clutch pedal feels okay. Shit, I think the gearbox has gone bang. Maybe diff, maybe input shaft, don't know. Trouble is with the A34 is there's no hard shoulder, so I had to just sort of crash park it just off the road. There's trees all round, there's nowhere for me to stand. I made a death pact with this car. I was like, if you're going, I'm going. I'm gonna sit in the thing that's designed to be hit rather than be run over by my own car or pinched between my car and whatever hits my car. And we're a team. So if you're going, I'm going. I was stuck at the side of the A34 for 45 minutes with trucks just yinging past me, missing my wing mirror by like 8 inches. You don't realise how bad people's lane discipline has got or how little attention they pay until you're stuck at the side of the road. Managed to get towed to a lay-by. Car got recovered back to my house. I've got no room at the unit. Started the engine and I can hear this awful oh dear. I don't think that's a good thing. Now I don't know if you can see what I can see, but I can see the centre of the clutch is not turning anywhere near as fast as the flywheel. We have problems. I believe we have clutch problems. I hope we have clutch problems. So what we're going to do today is you're going to join me and we're going to whip the Scirocco's gearbox out on my drive. Can't see anything wrong with that. I can't see that going wrong whatsoever. I've also just realised I've forgotten my axle stands. I've forgot my ramps. Still, at least it's a bank holiday weekend and everything's shut. I hope you're going to enjoy laughing at the fat man while he struggles to whip a gearbox out of his own daily. Can we get my Scirocco back on the road again, in time to go back to work on Monday? Right, intro music. Ba ba bam bam bam. It's cool. Don't worry. I'm not mad. I should say, the first owner on the logbook of this vehicle was a rental company. So this car had a hot supper when it was brand new. The other issue we've got is that I'm pretty sure the gearbox has never been off. So that clutch put up a hell of a fight. I can't bring myself to be annoyed. Still, I don't want to do this. Look at all the stuff I've got to disconnect. Right, we need to be in there. Well, actually, that needs to be out here. Just, yeah, start disconnecting stuff. I already disconnected the clutch arm because I wanted to make sure that the release bearing hadn't done something daft, like get stuck. So that's already out, but you guys can see how to connect that up when I have to connect it back up, can't you? Right, reverse light switch, squeeze and lift. I've got gloves, why am I not wearing gloves? Disconnecting the battery at step 1 is for cowards. I'll do that in a minute. Right, I hate taking gearboxes out of these. I really, really do. You're probably thinking, why are you having a beer while you do this? Well, because I don't anticipate driving this car today. It's like nearly 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so I don't think that's going to happen for us today. We need to disconnect the starter motor, disconnect that spade connector there. It'll be a 13mm to get it off the starter itself. Oh, that's really rusty, that terminal. Great, brilliant. Right, that guy's out of the way. There's an earth. You're going to have to take my word for it. There's no way you're going to see it. The front bolt at the top, there's an earth that's held in with a 13mm too. Just break it loose. Just break it loose. Just break it loose. Jesus. Oh, so you don't tie yourself in a knot. Put this guy back on the starter. Yeah, alright, see you later. Now we know where that guy comes from. Come back. Right. Built-in washer. Very cool, very handy. And then that's our earth lead off. And he's cable tied. Of course he is. I should say the camera work will get better as we go. It's just right now we're squished. Right, earth disconnected. Okay, that earth I was talking about is attached to this. There's a bit, that's a bigger bolt that goes through the bellhousing into the block, but it's got a little threaded bit on. So we're going to go ahead and put that guy back as well, so we don't lose him. Cable tied there. So earth's up out of the way. What else are we doing here? So down yonder is our speedo cable. You can follow that guy down. There's a bolt there. You want to undo that, pull the speedo cable out. You'll see me do that in a minute. Right, this bolt is a special bolt, right? It won't, no other normal one will fit. Out of it. Out of it. I said out of it. He's a weirdie. So obviously don't mix it up with anything else. Well, if you can if you want, you're going to have a hard time with it. Wriggle, lift, speedo cable out. You should have the speedo drive on the end. If you don't have the speedo drive on the end, go fishing for the speedo drive because you're going to have trouble. A good opportunity to examine the gear. And I've got good news. This one looks shit. Well, that there is a problem for another day. We've got the reverse light switch undone, clutch cable undone, speedo cable undone, the earth strap undone, the battery positive undone, the starter motor's disconnected. So electrically, we're pretty much there. So now we want to get our starter motor out of the way because it's just a heavy nuisance, a bit like me. Yeah, so the bolt for the start, the top bolt for the starter sits really close. I'm going to swear at you in a minute. I never have this sort of trouble on other people's cars, only ever my own. All right, I'm just gonna, I'll round it and then I can be annoyed about that later, okay? That's a good. Oh, no, it's turning. A little easier than I'd care to admit, to be honest with you. Back's already hurting. That coolant line is 7 different kinds of in the way. Go away, thank you. Because your average mechanic would have just, what on earth is taking so long? Who in their right mind? This is a joke wrapped somewhere in the vicinity of a piss take. I'm starting to get fed up with doing that now. There are only so many times you can hit your hand on something the same way before it just starts getting really, really annoying. Right, I've had a tizer and calmed down. Let's keep going. I don't think that's the right bolt for that starter motor. It just doesn't seem like the right bolt. These gloves are actually making everything more difficult. They're ruining this otherwise very enjoyable experience. Right, the gloves are coming off. Gloves are coming off. I'm getting really, really angry with the gloves. What is the deal? I'm going to see if I can find a socket head to put back in here because this is lethal. I've took enough of these starter motors out to know that those bolts aren't the right ones for this starter. Okay, so as you can see, I hope, there's no side profile to be able to get anything on those other than a spanner. Woofed. Starter motor seems fine, 100% fine. We're not rebuilding that. That's for damn sure. Right, first part is going on the floor. All right, so we've got the starter disconnected, which you would have seen me laying into that guy over. Disconnected the gear linkages at the back. So there's one there with a split pin and one at the back, which is just a ball and socket joint. You just with a screwdriver. Gearbox now, for all intents and purposes, is disconnected from everything but the drive shaft cups, which are those guys down there. We need some splinies for that. And this engine mount, well, it's a gearbox mount, but you're smelling what I'm stepping in. That one there, there's a guy down the back. We're at the point now where we pretty much need to do everything from underneath. So it's now time for us to remove this. I was trying to demonstrate good practice. I like to undo these top ones first, because everything's still supported currently. We can undo these top ones, we can get the car in the air, we can do most everything else from underneath the vehicle. So let's plow on with that. Let's take this new jack for a spin. I'm gonna go off of the Bellhousing. Let's see how we get on. Oh, that's already a game changer. That is already a game changer. Barely even trying. Wow, that's wild. Like my new jack. Very keen. What have we got for space underneath now? Still got plenty of travel in the jack to be able to support the engine. So axle stand time. One there. Just in time for the weather to start turning on us, great. And the other one, excuse buttocks, can't help it. Lay it down slowly. There we go. Now, code of the road. Once it's on the axle stands, I stop for a cigarette, because if it's going to fall in the first 5 minutes. Definitely not when I'm wrenching the gearbox around. So that's how we know it's completely safe. Whoa, 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 where are my manners? Right, sorry. These are the top Bellhousing bolts. So that one goes towards the back. You've got a pair of Ols. Just trust me, you'll see them on yours. There's one there, one there. That one's the back one. This is the front one. This does your engine earthing. So this chunky lad holds the actual gearbox in, and then this little stud is what clamps your earth strap on. So if you find you're having engine earthing problems, whistle this off and give it a clean. As you can see, from how tidy these threads are, I'm not convinced this gearbox has ever been off. Which is great, because it means there's still loads that can go wrong that hasn't been mitigated by someone else. Right, we're off underneath the car now. Onwards and upwards. So the first thing I'm going to deal with now is the flywheel cover. These are 11mm. Don't ask me why. You're going to have to ask Klaus Hadedigedig, or however you pronounce his surname. But they are 11mm heads on these for some reason. Man, we got an oil leak. We got 10 oil leaks in one big overcoat. Pretty cool. I'm really looking forward to getting this gearbox out of here. Oh no, hang on. No, I'm dreading it. It's going to be a miserable experience. Okay, so you just keep fighting this horribly cross-threaded. There are two tin covers, one for the bottom of the Bellhousing, which quite often goes missing. People can't be asked to refit it. It's not like it needed to be there, right? This guy's going to be covered in oil. Oh yeah, definitely should put a rear main seal in this, and I'm not going to. Where is all that oil coming from? Because there's a lot of it. Well, the back of the pressure plate looks okay. I don't think it is actually the rear main. It is puking oil down the back of the engine block. The intake manifold's coated in it, so I'm going to say probably rocker cover gasket, and therefore I'm going to pretend I didn't see that. Okay, there's another cover on the back. Actually, where are my manners? We need to get this flange out of the way first.
I will show you that at a different angle. Let me plan this shot because I think this is going to bleed into tomorrow.
Now that guy there is a fart smeller because this is going to bleed into tomorrow. Despite my clearly impeccable ISO settings, it's getting quite dark out there. You don't believe me, do you? Trust me, it is. Plus being under the car. I'm going to pick this up tomorrow. It's 6:20. Okay. Reasonable progress, I think. It doesn't look like it on this video because the video so far is 15 minutes long without me snipping everything down. Just a few bits to do tomorrow and then the gearbox will just whoop. Definitely is what's going to happen. So tomorrow we whip out the drive shaft flanges, we undo the last few Bellhousing bolts, we take that tin cover off the back. That always catches you out because it's hidden. You can't tell it's there till it's gone. Then you go, there's a tin cover there, obviously, because how else would the gearbox go in? Reasonably successful day. I started really late, I just got waylaid. So I hope you join me tomorrow and we'll see how we get on. There's a little square. Come, you do. Bye, I'll see you tomorrow.
Howdy, it's the next day. Right, I'm gonna get the drive shaft flanges undone now. M8 spline should be. Yep. And it's gonna try and rotate on you, because of course it is. Obviously if the clutch wasn't gone, you could put it in gear, but we can't, so this is gonna be fun. Right, hopefully you'll be able to see that, and it won't fall down. These can be a little bit of a pain, not gonna lie. I normally do these by putting the car in gear, but obviously that makes no odds at the moment because the clutch isn't doing anything. Just make sure you don't strip them, that's the trouble. Right, I'm going to turn myself sideways and wedge my foot against the tyre. I think they're not particularly tight. They're just a little awkward. Oh, we've got a split in a CV boot. Do keep count. I've broken all 6 of these loose now. You're probably wondering why I'm not splitting the ball joint and all that. Shouldn't need to. And I say shouldn't need to because nothing so far has gone particularly to plan, so the flange should just drop out of the drive shaft cup and we can get it up out of the way. Happy days. Well, slightly less miserable days. Christ, that CV boot's wrecked. How did they not spot that? These aren't my usual MOT guys. I couldn't fit it in with them, but they came with an otherwise good reputation, but I'm seeing some fairly obvious shit that it should have at least been advised on. So, when we're all done with this, and I've cleared some of my backlog over at the unit, this will be getting put up in the air. I'm going to go round all 4 corners anyway, but more so now because I'm spotting things that they should really have spotted on the MOT. Ow! What was that? Just get bit with something. Oh, well, there we go. On the DS at least, it just lifts up out of the way. Passenger side I think is going to be a little bit more tricky because it's the shorter of the 2 drive shafts and there isn't really anywhere for it to go, but it needs to be totally out of the way of the gearbox. We'll burn that bridge when we get to it. That's one. I'm going to do the other one off camera because trying to find a camera angle that means you can see what I'm doing on that one. It's the same as this side, just on the other side of the vehicle. Is that the Polis? No. Wow, that tyre's fucked. Oh, good. I'll be putting a tyre on that then. Not keen on that tyre at all. Okay, passenger side is out. Annoyingly, this side still has the original 6mm Allen heads, and I wasn't expecting that. My fault entirely, I didn't come prepared. However, I'll show you a quick improvised way of getting around that, because obviously you need quite a bit of grunt to get these undone initially. 6mm Allen key will get you home. You need a 6mm socket, ideally on a screwdriver handle, and you put that guy in there like so. You can then hammer this into the, and do hammer it or you'll round it. Someone had already rounded one of these annoyingly, so that was great fun, but you can still get around it. Hammer this guy in as far as you can, and then you've got the extra torque to be able to pop it loose. And the handy thing is then, you've also got the ability to shrink the tool down to less than half the size, put that end in for whizzing the bolts out. Cool, now we need to start making some preparations for when we drop the engine. I want to give myself a bit of room. Let me explain this when I get under the car. We're going to have to drop the engine to get the gearbox clear of this chassis leg. Obviously, as the engine comes down, the exhaust is going to land on that anti-roll bar. It's going to droop. It's going to be a pain. I really, really hope that I can get away with just undoing the back ones. There's no way those are coming undone. That's somewhere between chocolate and toffee. That's going to be a problem, because did I just crush a snail with my head? Not happy about that. All right, we'll undo the rear wishbone mounts and see where that gets us then. Once I've got my fat ass out from under the car. The way this anti-roll bar mount at the back works, they're actually part of the rear wishbone mount, so we should be able to whistle this off. Man, that's jammed up with underseal. I'd clean it, but I can't get to it. Obviously, I wasn't anticipating having to take this off. Rear wishbone mounts are undone. So now we need to take... Hi, how are you doing? Are you well? Oh, good. Me? Oh, yeah. Never better. This is exactly what I want to be doing on a bank holiday Monday. It's a dream come true. Yeah. Having a lovely time. Thanks for asking. Okay, so we've got this rearmost mount to remove. Remove it from the floor pan because it saves you having to try and align the mount and all that stuff. Of course the wind's going to pick up now. Once that's done, you've got a tin cover at the back. I can't show you, you're just going to have to look. Physically can't get a camera up in there. Then there's this one here. That's what holds the engine and gearbox together. Now, I would recommend highly that when you drop this mount, leave this bolt in, then come in with your jack and support the engine. Once you undo that bolt, effectively the gearbox and engine are no longer connected except for hanging up on the dowels and the input shaft, and you don't want to be bending that. Support from there, and you can split that final bolt, which will release the clamping force, and then you can get up top and undo the end mount, and then that's it. We're going for it. We're lowering the engine down. The engine will come down at an angle. We extract the gearbox from the end. That's the theory. But you need that tin cover off because the gearbox won't come out without it. The tin cover is bolted to the gearbox for some reason, sits behind the flywheel. So as you pull the gearbox, the tin cover wedges. Yeah. And you'll be pleased to know that weather's definitely turning. What's great is we had a heat wave not 2 days ago.
What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Today it's my pleasure to announce a brand new sponsor. That's right, we got a sponsor. Today's sponsor is TrashMyGarage. For just a short one-off fee, I can come round and trash your garage. We got everything. We've got drawer spillage, half can of clear coat put there for no reason. We've got lathe that I haven't touched in 6 months. We've got old oscilloscopes. We've got signal generators. We've got knackered telly. We've got old VHS tapes. Point of sale from a recording studio that was built in the 80s. Leftover remnants of vintage seatbelts. Vintage shower. We've got a disc duplication machine. Synthesizers, yo! For just a single one-off payment of $9.99, I can come by personally. Kyle from YouTube. One of the YouTubers of all time. I will come by personally for that one-off fee and destroy your garage. I will fill it with so much shit you won't have anywhere to put anything ever again. And the best part is, not only will you have nowhere to put anything, we're offering an optional extra. That's right, for my viewers today, if you enter the discount code, what the fuck is going on, at checkout, you'll also not be able to find anything you already had in here. This is a one-time offer exclusive to my channel members. TrashMyGarage, thank you very much for the sponsorship. I love when places look after small YouTubers like me. Anyway, back to the video. Okay, here's that little tin cover I was telling you guys about. Held in with 2 bolts there. That one is an 11, that one's a 10. Volkswagen, what can I say? I've undone the rear engine mount from the floor. I've cracked that bottom bolt there loose. We should be ready to get a jack under there, support the engine, and then, yeah, crack that final bolt loose, undo this guy, and theoretically, all should lower down. Right, time for the big drop. Now, just take your time with this and you'll be absolutely fine. The important thing to remember is that you want to try and not bind anything up as you lower the engine and gearbox down. We're undoing those 2 bolts. Now I know technically that's not the correct thing to do. I'll tell you why I'm doing that. If you crack those bolts off and get those bolts out as early on in the lowering process as possible, then you can disconnect both those bolts as well as the one from the chassis leg and remove that mount completely, and then you just don't have to worry about it as far as trying to navigate the gearbox when you're lowering it out of the vehicle. So as you can see, I'm working back and forth of those with a spanner and a 17mm. They're both 17mm. The fella at the front, I believe, is also 17mm, although this all happened in a bit of a flash, so I'm not sure I can really tell you exactly what the size is. I think it's a 17, it might be a 19. This is me just driving the bolts through, trying to get as much movement as I possibly can out of that mount ahead of time. Now, you can see as we go, I'm slowly lowering the jack, raising the jack, whatever I need to do to take the tension off of all the fasteners. Just look around and you should be absolutely fine. Once the gearbox is at a point where we're lowered down, I've got the end cap off of the gearbox because I was checking out the release bearing setup, which means it immediately started bleeding gearbox oil. I'm going to put new oil in this gearbox anyway, so that's really not that big of a deal. Here goes the chassis leg part of the mount coming out. Raise it back up to take the tension off the bolt, and there's our bolt, and there we go. The gearbox is free. It's actually started to come off. You can, if you just look between the engine and the bellhousing, you can see the gearbox is actually removing itself. We're getting there. Right, we should be somewhat ready. Oop. Right, that is the sound of the wishbone mounts letting go, which is perfect. That's what we want, because that'll clear the exhaust through the anti-roll bar. Now I should be able to drop the gearbox lower than the drive shaft flange. I just need to reassess my hernia situation, and then we should be able to slide that sideways and down. And then gearbox will be out and we can find out what's wrong with our clutch. I'm just going to throw some gloves on for this bit because this is going to be grim. Here we go. So I just need something to, just going to roll up some rubber matting just so we don't mash the gearbox, but they're pretty roughy tufty. Most of the oil situation is resolved now. There we go. Get ready for it, it's heavy. We need the drive shaft out of the way, but we are separated. Literally just hung up on that. There we go. Box is out. Happy days. Oh, I hate the smell of gearbox oil. Right, not my tidiest work, good enough for what I need. Moment of truth with regards finding out if our gearbox is trashed. You can just manually put this in gear and turn. Yeah, okay, we're good. We're good. You see those diff cups? I hope you can see those diff cups. I'm turning the input shaft, we're good. Excellent. Whew. Our gearbox lives to shite another day. Okay, time to find out what's going on. Oh my God. The middle of the friction disc has broken off of the outer. Well, yeah, I mean, that's pretty open and shut. I'd say that's probably the issue. What do you guys think? Good Lord. Right, time for a spot of fun now. We just had to whistle these flywheel bolts out. These are a very strange thing. They are a 9mm 12 point. Actually reasonably straightforward. They're not done up all that tight. Just lots of wash, rinse, repeat really. There's 9 of them. So you just have to keep circling the drain until they come off. And we can get a decent look at that clutch plate. Okay, all the bolts are undone. These guys are heavy. Get ready to catch it, which I'm not going to be able to do while filming. I will put it here. If it films, it films. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm not breaking my wrist to show 6 of you how to do this job. I'm pretty sure that shouldn't be like that, fellas and fellettes. That looks like it might have failed to me. What do you think? You'll be pleased to know the next stage in this job is dead easy as long as you don't mind a little bit of grunt work. You just want to get a screwdriver in at the ends of that circlip and pop them out of the hole. And then you can get the screwdriver into the side of the circlip and it will ping. Bop. And you'll find that the plate itself will just fall out. So getting the pressure plate bolts out, instead of having the locking tool to hand, what I did was put another ratchet on the other end of the crankshaft and just let it jam up against the chassis leg, and then I was able to undo all of these with relative ease. They are done up quite tight and there's Loctite involved in that situation, but generally pretty straightforward. It's just a case of undoing some big bolts really. Hello. Now's a good time to explain to you guys how these clutches work, because they're a little bit weird. Nothing ridiculous, but they work a little bit back to front. So you'll notice that this is not a flywheel, despite the fact that it bolts to the crank. This is the pressure plate. Pretty clever how it works. I like the design, some people hate the design. I like the design. The reason I like the design is something that quite often fails in a clutch assembly is the release bearing, or throwout bearing, whatever you want to call it. Now, what's cool about this design, let me show you how it works first and then we'll go from there. This clutch on the face of it makes no sense at all. There's your pressure plate. There's your friction plate. I have cleaned this off. There's your friction plate. what gives? There's no assembly over the front of it. This is bolted to the crank. This sits in like that. So the flywheel is the bit around the outside. That gives you the mass that's got the ring gear on it. This system's very clever, I feel, because what you have is this plate here. So once you've bolted this to the crank, otherwise this could all be one piece, but you need to be able to bolt this to the crankshaft. This guy goes in like so, and is held in with a circlip, big monster circlip. Then your friction plate goes on, and then, this is getting heavy now, and then your flywheel goes on over the top and bolts up here. So how do you release the clutch? It's really clever. So in here you've got springs. This part is bolted to the crankshaft. This is your pressure plate. So those springs are currently pushing the clutch plate against the flywheel. It's crushing the clutch, giving you your engagement. When you put your foot on the clutch pedal, there is a rod on the end of the gearbox that's pushed through the whole input shaft all the way through into the bell housing. It passes through the splines, which presses on this plate in the middle. That squashes all of this down, which disengages the clutch. Brilliant, great idea. Basically, one of the common failures you get with a clutch system is the release bearing or the throw out bearing. Well, the release bearing is on the end of the gearbox, hidden under a little tin cover. So you haven't even got to jack the car up to do a release bearing on one of these. You disconnect the clutch cable, pop the little retainer out of the arm so the arm can droop down. That swings the fork up out of the way. You prise the metal cover off the end of the gearbox, catch a little bit of gearbox oil, just pull your release bearing out with a magnet or something like that. New release bearing in, lift the arm back up, tin cover gets malleted on, you need to replace it. And then put the clutch, so you can do a release bearing. The parts are about 15 quid and it takes about 10 minutes. I really like this system, and British Leyland really like this system too, because they use this gearbox in the Maestro. There you go. Anyway, I'm going to get back to putting this clutch in. Very innovative, I think. Well done, Volkswagen. Good thinks. Now stop pissing around calling things silly names and just make good cars again, please. That'd be great. Right, I'm absolutely tamping right now. My phone decided to wig out while I was filming, and it's corrupted the entire file of me carefully cleaning up those bolts, putting thread lock on them, tightening them in sequence, and then torquing them. But anyway, bolts with the shoulder get torqued to 100 Newton meters. The fit on the nose of the crank is very tight to the pressure plate, so you want to walk it on by doing them up in the star pattern until it's back where it needs to go. Then you torque it down. You got to act quickly because obviously you don't want a thread lock going off. Before you've done that, you get a false reading on your torque wrench. 100 Newton meters with a shoulder, 75 without. We are now putting the plate in that the push rod rides on through the gearbox. Again, you get one of these in the kit too. This is an old Quinton Hazel kit, but these are still a fairly common part. I got very lucky and I managed to find this one ultra cheap. I paid £30 for this clutch kit. I'm very smug. I'm very smug and very chuffed. I've had quite a chuffy weekend actually. I've got a nice shiny new jack and a clutch. Right, yeah, just hook those guys up like that. Mind your eyeballs. You will lose them. They will go. They will be taken. That guy goes in like that. And just, this can be a little bit faffy, but not too bad. You just need to hook the ends of the rod in like so. Give her a little chop. That's it. We're good. Just want to make sure the circlip is fully engaged with these three fingies. Just to make, that's fingies as in fingers, not thingies as in I don't know what it's called. Right, there we go. Done. Really is that straightforward. We've got our flywheel. You could get this machined if you want to. You could get it cleaned up if you want to. I'm not going to because I am a rebel. I like to drop my friction plate in the flywheel because then all you have to do is focus on lining up the flywheel for now. It will find its right place, don't worry. We're not panicking about centralising the clutch right now. A common myth
when it comes to clutches is that this has to be absolutely perfect. What it needs to be is centered enough to get the gearbox input shaft through, because the minute you disengage this clutch, everything self-centers anyway. All that bollocks about getting clutch wobble and stuff if you don't use an alignment tool is just that, it's bollocks. So, just run a couple of bolts in. You can see it's already starting to engage, nice and strong. Now, we just need a way of guaranteeing that this is roughly centered, okay? It will be immediately obvious if you can't get the input shaft on, because guess what? The input shaft's going to hit all of this shit, you won't be able to put the gearbox on. Yet another one of those things that gets massively over exaggerated. Let me see if I can find some Verniers. These are a set of Vernier calipers. You can buy these from Amazon for about 12 pence. You just need to measure. I work in a cross, bottom, top, left, right. And you just nudge it around like so until it's centered-ish. Doesn't have to be perfect. Right, that's much more even. What we got there? 8.8, 8.8, 8.7, and the caliper's zeroed. That is good enough. I'm not just being throwaway about it. It just needs to be roughly in the middle. You mean to tell me that jabbing a tapered bit of plastic in there is any more accurate than what I've just done there? Catch my drift? Now, I'm just trying to save you guys from buying the centering tool. Do it however you want to do it. I really, really don't care. As long as your clutch goes in and your clutch is centered and your gearbox can go back on, I couldn't care less your method. I have used the tool. Funnily enough, I had one of the tools. I gave it to the boys at Car Throttle to do the Golf. And then I think I said something stupid like, I'm probably not going to need that again. So, yeah, 20. I like to go around in a circle after this, just make sure everybody's happy. 20 seems really loose, doesn't it? But that's what they call for, so that's what they're getting. In fairness, I suppose the counteraction of the spring trying to force the clutch out puts tension on all the bolts, so they can't really work loose, can they? Right. Feels pretty bloody centered to me. That's me for the day. Ugh. Holy shit. Okay, stop everything. Editor's note. I can hear you thinking, because I'm weird like that, what's taking so long? Why is this clutch job taking so long? Okay, there's 4 good extenuating reasons why this particular clutch job is taking as long as it's taking. Number 1, this is my car. I'm taking my time. I'm not on the clock. It's not in my interest to get this done as quickly as possible for the customer. It's a spare time thing. If I was in my workshop, fully equipped, up on a lift where I can raise and lower the car as much as I need to, and I can get all the way around it, all that sort of stuff, I can get one of these done in an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours if it's being a real pain in the ass. Second, it takes an astonishing amount of extra time to stop and explain what I'm doing while I'm doing it versus just getting on with the job. So there's that to consider. There's also 3, the factor that I am having to film, which means having the camera in the right place, getting the ISO settings correct, all the exposure, lighting, framing, all that stuff. Then when I finish a take, as it were, I put it on my computer, I then import it, edit it all together. I have to watch it back. I want to make sure it's not a tedious video. That takes time too. And then the final bit is a bit of a wimpy reason, I know, but I've had a bad rotator cuff for many years now, and laying on my side on cold concrete in the weather we've got at the moment, it just gets to the depths of it. So I'm on a bit of a go slow because I'm in a bit of pain. I'm not going to harp on about it, but just so you know, this is something I could normally get done in a couple of hours. There's no sense in me blasting through this job when I'm trying to show you guys how to do this yourself. So how I normally work is quite efficient as can be when you're working on 35-year-old cars and everything's rusty. That's the end of today. I'm going to edit this up, put a rough together, go and watch it and have a beer.
because I'm very tired. Cheers, see you in a bit. Okay, we've got problems. Of course we've got problems. It's something didn't feel right. I put the friction disc in, trying to make the gearbox up. So I pulled the friction disc back out, and it seems to be bulging quite badly at the back towards the engine. Everything just felt very gooey. Lo and behold, I looked a little more. It's a new old stock clutch kit. I think it got damaged. This is not right, so garbage. Brand new clutch disc, wrecked. So I bought another one. It's been a couple of days. This actually is a much busier friction disc. It looks like there's a lot more effort been put into it. So we'll run it. If it's 210, which it is, and I did the right one. And the splines mate up on the gearbox, which they do, then it gets fitted. Just gonna finish cleaning up the gearbox, as you can see from all the clag in the bottom of it. I was halfway through that when the clutch arrived. And then we'll get that in that, and that in that, and this off of this, and hopefully we'll be sorted. Right, I'm getting a bit fancy now. While we're in here, it'd be silly not to do the release bearing. May as well show you guys how to do one of these. There's our release bearing. It's a JP, that'll do. Just want to put the push rod in. Make sure you can rotate it. Yep, excellent. Sometimes these do come faulty, so worth checking. We've also got our replacement cap. Our release rod goes through like yonder. You'll feel it come out of the end of the gearbox input shaft. Lovely. Right, release bearing. That's it. Job's a good one. Time to fit our release finger and arm and spring, all that fancy pants stuff. You've got a clip there. Cool. So you'll see there is a master spline top and bottom on this guy. The spring rides against that piece there, and the finger hooks under like that, so that all just kind of gets smushed for now. Now, to shorten your journey, I'd recommend that you bring this guy in as well. Just get it ready, because then you got anywhere near as much faffing around to do. Nice. Right, once everybody's started, you should find with the finger up like that, this guy just glides straight through. That's now engaged, and you'll find now you've got a nice spring action. There is a tab on the side of the gearbox. You need to just move the arm slightly past that in order to clear everything. And then you've got a stopper clip, which I've definitely lost because I lose it every single time I do one of these gearboxes. Where I've put that now? Got a little nib on the middle there, goes through the hole in the arm. This guy just pops over. You want to make sure it's fully engaged. That now will stop the arm from flying out at you, taking your eye out. This clip, you just want to go between the splines on the right hand side, and that literally is just there to stop everything from throwing itself around. And now you should be able to reach into the input shaft and push your release bearing back, and then you can feel out for any movement. The release bearing's already pulling oil through, which is great. Happy days. End cover, one of the coolest things about this, you can do all of this in the car. You don't even have to jack it up. The only thing you need to do, this is for 5 speeds, 4 speeds you can't, but 5 speeds, all you need to do, full lock left to allow you to pull the push rod out if you're going that crazy with it, but most of the time you're just changing the bearing. Here's our end cap. I've also managed to have lost my mallet today, which is good. I'm losing everything. Bastard. Use a soft mallet and don't go mental because you don't want to distort the case. I've just got an enormous metal splinter in my hand. That's great. Just gently tap. Try and tap evenly round. Now my mallet that I have at the workshop makes a much tidier job of this because it isn't covered in filth. The good news is that should just wipe clean. And you're done. That's how you do a release bearing on one of these. And like I say, you don't even have to jack the car up. If you're strategic about it, you can just reach on under there, pop this end cap off with a screwdriver, and if you've got all the parts ready to go, this should take you no more than 10 minutes. Okay, depending on how much I plan to show of the previous friction plate going in, you will have seen me install the other friction plate with a set of Vernier calipers, which is a completely legit way to do it.
However, I figured if I'm waiting for another friction plate, I've got time to wait for a clutch alignment tool. It just takes a bit of the guesswork out. So, what I like to do is put the friction plate face down. Obviously, make sure you have this guy the right way around. Engine side is the flatter of the two. That guy should go in like that. And then we've got, let me take the friction plate back out and show you. There's a dowel there and a dowel here. There's two narrower tangs and a wider one at the top that you can't quite make out, but basically that's for your locating dowels. You will find it will center in. Now this guy is sitting a little bit, there we go. Lovely, that's perfect. So it's engaged like that. So I'm going to be keeping an eye out for bang, down low. Now, to put our friction plate in, don't touch the lining, obviously. You've got the engine side, which is the flatter of the two on this application. Obviously, please do check, because it's not my fault if you're following this guide for a Honda. I put the friction plate face down in the flywheel, because it saves me trying to wrestle everything around. And then there will be a sweet spot. You want to just start a bolt at the top. Ideally do one each for each of the three subdivisions of the flywheel. All right, look, we're already starting to get a bit tasty, so let's stop there. Get our alignment tool. And you just want, this guy needs to fit in the hole on the flywheel. Your mileage may vary with regards to the alignment tool. Once we've got our clutch as aligned as we can, that alignment tool isn't the best. I think the quality of these is getting gradually worse, to be honest with you. But you see this sort of good enough nature of these anyway. They're not, you haven't got to really have a massive panic attack about them being perfect. Right, everything else from this point on, as far as doing up the flywheel and stuff, I've already showed you, so let's just skim across that, right the way across it. Let's get to the good stuff, where things start going really, really wrong again, because, as per usual, on this channel, things always go wrong. Why would this one be any different at all? That was awful. Put it this way, I was getting so wound up doing that I just stopped filming, because nobody needs to see me have a temper tantrum. So, apologies. You're just going to hate every minute of that experience when you come to do it on your car. It's as simple as that. Tied the drive shafts up out of the way, they drop back down again. Tied them back up, they drop back down again. Got all that sorted, rotated it round. Gearbox slipped off the jack. Tried to get to it from underneath. Gearbox fell while my arm was under it. Now, you've already heard me griping about my rotator cuff, so that feels just $1 million right now. I got so angry that my hair changed. I came out from underneath the car. I had long hair when I went under there, and I came up and it's short now. Nobody needs to see a man go through that on the internet, all right? We try and keep it light on this channel. Okay, so the other thing is, I've inadvertently been coming up with a clutch fault on this for quite some time, because I've reconnected the clutch cable and I thought something was wrong because the clutch is too light. It was so heavy previously, but I just got used to it. I mean, look, just that's a size 13 Steely, right? I wear these every single day. That's what I drive in. So you can get a bit of gravity behind those and send that clutch pedal straight into the floor and change gear. So I hadn't really noticed it being a problem. Very strange, but I've confirmed the arm is moving. Everything's working. I think it's just that the pressure plate had worn out or seized slightly or something, I don't know. Maybe that was causing the problem that led to the clutch breaking. We'll never know. And I'll tell you why we'll never know. I don't care. The clutch is in, the gearbox is on, clutch cable is attached, and I can feel a biting point. It goes over centre like a clutch pedal should, but everything's just lighter. So, I don't know. That might be the biggest pigeon I've ever seen in my life. We're up on reassembly now. The bad news is it's the second time we've been up on reassembly because I've just had to do that job twice. So, left to do rear engine mount to body, front engine mount, which is actually more of a, I don't know what it does, to be honest. I don't know what it does because it's not attached to anything on the body. It's just like a bumper that's got a little ring that it sits in. I don't know, maybe something to do with torque transfer. I'm tired, all right? It's been a long day. Just starter motor, speedo cable, drive shafts. A koi fish, bruv. Let's press on. Okay, that's on like that. Find the studs. Jolly good. Okay, that's already a good start. The engine must be roughly, that's a 19, man. You want to go ahead and get a 17. Click. Rear engine mounts in. We're going to go for the starter motor and therefore the front engine mount because they share bolt things. I couldn't find any hex heads that would fit. Well, that part's fairly straightforward. 17mm Spanana. Starting to feel much better about this all now. I'm still a little bit aggrieved. I took the Rover off the road because it needed a clutch. I didn't tell you guys that bit, did I? How's that for ironic? I put Susie back on the road because the Rover needs a clutch and I didn't want to be doing a clutch. Couldn't afford the downtime. So I took the Rover off the road, put the Scirocco back on the road, and within 10 days, here I am doing a clutch. That will learn me, won't it? We can check if our starter motor is actually going to work. The 13mm from the starter motor, gone. Off into the night. I'll come back in and tidy everything up, but I just need a viable car right now. So we're not going for a start, and therefore I'm not connecting up the distributor because I don't want this to burst into life. Fingers crossed that starter motor will mesh with the flywheel. Yes! Drive shafts going in. Oh my god, it genuinely for a time it felt like it was not going to get to this stage. These drive shafts have been nothing but trouble. If it wasn't for the fact I needed them, I'd have had them executed. Legitimately. Their services would no longer be required in that creepy secret agent sense of the word. I am a much older man compared to the last time I did this job on this driveway. Okay, gearbox oil is in. As far as I know now, it's the speedo cable, airbox, coolant tank back, and I think we're in for a drive. Right, you guys be my eyes. Let me know if we've got clutch. I still hate how light that feels, but are we moving? Are we not moving? I don't know until you guys know. Thank you so much for bearing with me, by the way. I had no idea this video was going to end up being so long. Now the moment we've all been waiting for. Will she drive? All right. She's not happy about idling. I've got a hunch that that is the carburetor base flange that's split. But we're moving. That's a pretty disconcerting knocking noise. I'm sure it's nothing to worry about. We'll find out in a bit, won't we? Yeah, there's definitely a little bit of a knock. That's probably to do with the engine mounts needing sort of tidying up. But we're driving. So I have a new base flange. I'm going to call them out. I paid for a new base flange on next day delivery from Heritage, and yet again they insisted on using DPD, who proceeded to just not bother showing up. So we would be doing much better if it wasn't for that. However, we are now out on the open road. My speedo isn't bouncing anymore. Oil pressure warning, that's great. That's great. Okay, brilliant. Right, we just need to find somewhere to pull over then, because I've now got an oil pressure fault for no reason. Let me just pull in here a second. I think some wiring might have been yanked. We'll have a look. Nothing to panic about. Yep, as I thought,
So, it's just one of those things where I've sort of, where the engine's been up and down so much, it had just wriggled the oil pressure warning sensor spade connector off. There we go, much better. Right, the clutch is as light as a feather actually. Very pleased. I'm going to be brave. We're going to go a little bit further afield, I think. Just gently rolling in. Yes! Alright. Okay, where were we? Can we get back to just enjoying driving around, please? I'll give it to you. You put up a hell of a fight. That was touch and go for a bit. I do like driving around Drayton St Leonard. It's very pretty this time of year. This is the route I used to take to the recording studio I worked at. Hello, Mr. Man, in your very large Skoda. He was well pleased to see us. I'm not surprised. Not in a cocky way. These are just, there's something about a Scirocco. I love them. We've got an indicator down apparently for some reason. Yeah, like I say, we're not. I don't know why we've got an indicator down, but we have. That's all right. We'll just do the Audi thing until we get home. That's no problem. Left-hand indicator works, so I just turn left. Problem solved. Why are you guys worrying about it? Problem solved. This has been a journey. Thank you very much for watching Skyrocket Automotive, especially if you've watched all the way to the end. That means the earth to me. I really look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. If you'll join me, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. And of course, we also offer memberships. I need to get on a live stream again soon. That'd be nice to catch up. We got some shit boxes to look at on eBay, I think. See you again. Thanks.